So once you're in the saddle, and we're gonna kind of play around with the angles of your reins when I first start talking to people about holding their reins. It's one of the first things I look at when I see people riding is a lot of times they're holding their reins differently. Their right hand might be kind of loose and their left hand might be real tight, or the other way around. But when they look down at their hands, they might notice they hold their reins differently in one hand than the other. So people have to get used to holding the reins with the same feel on the right side and the left side. Then once they get in the saddle, if you know that you've been wearing your saddle down a little bit more on one side than the other, then you know you've been sitting on that side too heavy. You've probably been on your seat bones too hard on one side. So you want to make sure the balance on the balls of your feet is very even. Going up your leg and sitting onto your seat bones is very, very even and balanced. When we're working the horse on the ground with the rider in the saddle, it kind of forces the human to sit centered in the saddle, because if they slid off to one side as I change directions in that groundwork exercise like that first video I did, it'd be difficult for the horse to keep you centered, and they might kind of squirt out to one side because you're pressuring one side more than the other. So when I first get to teaching people to get up in the saddle and sit really even, it's pretty easy to see sometimes that they might have one stirrup longer than the other, and they don't even know it. They never even looked at the fact that maybe they're riding long on one side and short on the other. Or maybe they've stretched out one stirrup quite a lot because they're leaning on that side a lot. So as an instructor, it's one of the things that you got to look at is how that gear is sitting on the horse, and maybe they even have the holes differently on one side than the other, and that'll really be detrimental for your horse long term if you don't get that sorted out pretty quick and make sure that the rider's gear is fitting on the horse right, and that the length of the stirrups is real even, and that once you get up on the horse, that the rider's sitting in the proper position, very balanced over the center of the horse.